understanding, okay, how can I get ahead of things and be prepared for the unprepared? Because from what I've heard from every single mom I've spoken to, it's like you can never fully be prepared for what's about to happen. So I'm just kind of trying to get ahead of everything I can before she comes. So that's a huge part of it, just setting those boundaries of, okay, my time is precious and I want to make sure that I'm getting everything done, being really strategic of what's in my control, because so much is going to be out of my control when she's here. So today I'm going to be talking all about stepping into motherhood, as well as a lot of changes in my career, going back into coaching, therapy, all the things. But before I do that, I'm starving, so I am making a bowl of fruit and some yogurt, pumpkin yogurt, and chia seeds on top of that, but I'm gonna wash the fruit right now. So I am obsessed with pumpkin, if you didn't know that already, but I have some pumpkin yogurt with chia seeds so I can get extra protein, because that's something I lack tremendously before getting pregnant. I had to take an iron supplement as well just to like get that extra, but anyways, I top it with like, whoa, maybe I put too much. I put a lot of chia seeds and just have that so I can make sure I'm getting that extra protein, but this is kind of like a midday snack. It's lunchtime, or yeah, it's almost lunchtime, but that's okay. So we're gonna just mix it up, that done. And then I have my big bowl of fruit. So I have blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. But I'm gonna eat this and then we're gonna go talk more about motherhood and all the changes that are happening personally, professionally, all the things. So now that I ate, I feel much more refreshed, ready to talk all about motherhood and all the changes happening. And I wrote down notes because pregnancy brain is real and I don't want to miss anything. But anyways, I'm gonna start talking about the first thing that immediately happened to me as I'm starting to step into motherhood. The switch went off. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, it immediately changed my perception, perspective, the lens that I was looking at life through, everything changed, and also just prioritizing things. But starting with preparing a new identity. And you know, it's just embracing this new role of motherhood and what that's gonna look like for me. And personally, that I don't want to lose that part of myself. And I feel like that's something I hear from so many different moms in so many walks of life, just how they've processed being a mother, how they've stepped into being a mother. And I feel like it's important not to lose your identity as a core, but I know from like everybody I've said, like, or talked to, everyone's like, everything's gonna change, and I already feel like everything is changing. Outside of my body changing, but like my mindset, my perspective, and it's so exciting because ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted to have a huge family. Everyone thought I was crazy because if you know the game The Sims, I'm dating myself a little bit, but it's a computer game, and I was absolutely obsessed with it. I would spend hours on it. And this is, of course, I wanted to be an architect, so I was like designing the homes, but then you can design a family. And I would always have the max amount of kids in the family, and I always wanted a bunch of kids. And then reality set in. I realized the value of $1 and how much it costs to raise a child. And also just the attention and being in the therapy world for so long. I feel like it's also, you want to make sure that you have the time and energy to pour into each child. So I went from wanting like 8 to 6 to 4 when I met my husband, and now I'm like, okay, 2, maybe just be 1 and done. We don't know yet. We're not there yet. But anyways, just focus on 1 at a time. And so I'm just really excited. I'm excited to step into being a mother. It's something I've always wanted, and now I have the amazing opportunity to raise this human that I have no idea what she's going to be like, because she's going to be her own individual human being and have different interests, who she is. I'm just so excited to discover what comes from it, but I'm just ecstatic. And I mean, I've seen it with My sister has 2 daughters, and my cousin just had a little boy. So it's cool to kind of have them all grow up at the same time too, even though we all live in different states. I'm just excited. I'm excited to still maintain this personal and professional life that I have, as well as incorporating motherhood, because I feel like it's important not to lose yourself. I think we evolve and shift and change, but at the core of who we are as individuals. So that's the first thing. Second thing, career ambitions and motherhood. So part of this is setting boundaries for myself, as well as I just forgot. Pregnancy brain, it's so real. But prioritizing without compromising in each area. So one thing I have been doing is filming a lot of my YouTube episodes ahead of time so I can create my own maternity leave, because as an entrepreneur, there is no maternity leave. And some companies don't even give you maternity leave even if you have a job. But really looking at, okay, how can I prioritize my time? How can I step back? And I've already started doing this. I used to post 2 episodes every week on YouTube, and I loved it because it was a new interview of somebody brand new, bringing them on the show, and then the new series, Where Are They Now? So people I've interviewed 2 years ago or plus, bringing them back on. And honestly, it's so exciting. It's just so exciting to have like those individuals back, but I was posting twice a week, and it's a lot on the back end. And I'm sure anybody who's ever started anything when it comes to editing, just getting too many things out at once, it's a lot of content. So I scaled back to 1 a week, and now I'm doing these solo episodes as well to really diversify the channel, but also really being strategic of where my time is going to go, because I don't want to sacrifice any time with my baby girl. And I think that's just, it's important. It's an important aspect, and just being present for her. So I've really started to set those boundaries of, okay, what needs to happen now? And I had a friend, I'm in a podcast mastermind, and she has 2 kids, and she's like, you really act as if your due date is 2 months beforehand so you can get everything done. She's like, the last month and a half or so, you're kind of nesting. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But anyways, yeah. So I think that's part of it, just understanding, okay, how can I get ahead of things and be prepared for the unprepared? Because from what I've heard from every single mom I've spoken to, it's like you can never fully be prepared for what's about to happen. So I'm just kind of trying to get ahead of everything I can before she comes. So that's a huge part of it, just setting those boundaries of, okay, my time is precious and I want to make sure that I'm getting everything done, being really strategic of what's in my control, because so much is going to be out of my control when she's here. So setting those boundaries. Another part is because I still want to have all these goals and accomplish all these things, and I see all these phenomenal women entrepreneurs that are mothers that are doing so many things and making it happen. And I don't think you can do it all at once, but I think there's also on the back end, behind the scenes, it's who's helping you, who's being there to support you. And the other part of that is just not compromising what I want to accomplish. Well, just because I'm becoming a mother, that doesn't stop me in my tracks. And there are some moms that are stay-at-home moms and doing amazing things and homeschooling and doing all these things. That's just not me. I don't think I could, but you never say never, because I might see her and be like, I don't want to work anymore. I don't know. But I don't know if that will happen. I feel like I have my own goals, my own ambitions, and I'm very multidimensional. I don't want just one thing. I get bored very easily. So that's a big part of just understanding, okay, what are my ambitions? Because she's going to have her own. She's going to have her own life. She's her own identity. But I want to still have mine and keep that intact without compromising either or. So I think part of that was just really creating my own little maternity leave so I can be present for her and not have things stop immediately. So that's number 2. The third is navigating fears and unknowns. This one's a big one for me because it really comes back to like these honest reflections I've been having with myself and the fears that I have around motherhood. And honestly, to give you some context, I do have anxiety. I've had anxiety. I mean, I think the first time I remember having anxiety was like 3 years old, but I've always had it and I've learned to manage it. But I feel like with having a baby and everything that I feel, she feels. So I haven't even really thought of labor and delivery because everyone's like, oh, what's your birth plan? What's this? It's like, honestly, my birth plan is to keep us both healthy. After she's born, we are both healthy. Everything's good. That is my main concern. Of course, I would love to have like a natural birth, but it might not be possible because I'm a little more on the petite side and my doctors, They don't really know at this point because I'll be 29 weeks when I'm filming this right now. But anyway, so I have a little bit of time to go and she has time to grow, which is good. But I think it's more, there's so many unknowns, and that's what I just keep hearing from so many different moms and just individuals that have gone through the whole journey of pregnancy and what that looks like. And I think a big part for me is not carrying that or transferring that to her as well, the anxiety. So I'm just taking it one step at a time, and I feel like that's been so beneficial for me, of just looking at, okay, what is in my control? There's so much out of my control, and that's why even like creating my own maternity leave and like planning for the unknown, because I think for me it helps my anxiety to have like a framework. Even if it doesn't go exactly as planned or anything like that, at least I know, okay, this is the next step and where we need to go. So I feel like that's actually been helping me with the unknowns, but I think I've been just really processing, okay, yeah, it can be scary, and you're raising a child, you're instilling your values and morals, and Evan's going to be instilling his, and how like we come together as parents, and just what that looks like, because my parents always said that there's no rule book of like, this is how you parent. Everyone has a different style. And you know, the best advice I've been getting so far from other moms is really looking at the fact that it's a unique individual relationship, you and your baby. And then she's gonna have a different relationship with Evan and all the other people that are in our lives. But when you are growing this human, it's just, you feel it every single day. Like it's kind of that whole 9 months, sometimes 10, but that process of getting to know your baby ahead of time, you have this such a unique bond, it feels like already. But I talk to her every day, I give her affirmations, all the things to just continue to instill that positive, optimistic outlook versus instilling fear or anxiety that I might have onto her or into her as well. But I think that's been a part of the process. It's a lot to navigate, but taking it day by day. And then moving into the fourth one is building a support system. And, you know, I'm so grateful. I have such an amazing community around me here in Colorado, like my family, my best friend, great friends all in Florida, South Florida. And then I still have a handful of friends in California and my cousins out there too. But I have so many empowering women and men around me in my community. Here in Colorado, I had joined Polka Dots, a community for women. It's all about connection over business. Yes, you might do business, but that has been such a game changer for me. I joined last November, and it's been so eye-opening of just how many women are doing so many amazing things. Some younger than me, some older than me, some my age, but all different backgrounds, all different types of businesses, and some are mothers, some are not, some are chosen mothers, bonus moms, all the things. But it's been such a cool journey, and seeing how they have just taken me under their wing, and I've just created these friendships that I never even thought possible. Like, I've had so many great friendships over the years, and I still have amazing friends. Everyone in my circle is like cultivated from just all the amazingness that they embody and embrace, and so unapologetically themselves, but also accepting me as I am as well. I think is really important. But yeah, it's just been such a whirlwind of how many women have stepped into my life that are so supportive, and all the moms that I've been meeting as well, just like building that community. So seeing other moms doing it and building their businesses, it's such a cool dynamic. And then of course, like having my sister, my best friend, my mom, those are like the core people in Florida. And then of course all my other friends that are there. I don't have too many friends still in Florida. Everyone's kind of migrated out, but it's been really nice just to have that support of calling like, hey, is this normal? Like, is my belly button supposed to look like this? Is your skin itchy? All the weird things that happen during pregnancy. If you know, you know. Comment below. Have you had any weird things happen during pregnancy for you? But I think part for me is just creating and cultivating that community, continuing to have that. I've joined Facebook groups on like for moms here in Colorado, and just really being able to continue to connect and build and nurture those relationships is absolutely everything. And you know, it's so great. Everyone's like, if you need a babysitter, let us know. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's hard. Like, I have so many amazing people in my life, but I mean, my mom's gonna come and help for a few weeks, which will be really helpful when she's first born. But it's like, I don't know about you, but it's just like you're growing this baby for 9, maybe 10 months. And then like, do you trust everybody in your circle? And I feel like being a former therapist, I'm very cautious of who I'm just gonna hand my baby to. I'm sure other moms can relate and dads can relate too, or grandparents that are raising their kids or grandkids as well. But yeah, that's the big aspect of it. So just having that community, knowing I can call somebody up and be like, hey, I just need to take a shower. I just want to sleep for 20 minutes. Can you come by? So I think that's an awesome aspect, to have that community around you and continuing to build that and have more mom friends. And self-care. So really just prioritizing my overall well-being. I've gotten much better. Actually, I'm going to take a sip. Speaking of self-care. Staying hydrated. I was the worst at drinking water prior to getting pregnant, so I've been really trying to be good about it and making sure that I'm getting all the water, she's getting all the water, staying hydrated, because especially in Colorado, the altitude and everything, kind of used to it now because it's been 3 years, but you know, it is what it is. So just staying hydrated, definitely getting out, walking more. I'm trying to walk 30 minutes a day. That's been a struggle, especially like the first trimester, because it was kind of smoky from the fires and the smog. I had a horrible cough for a while. And now in the third trimester, it's so difficult to sleep. I have that big body pillow, which is great. However, but like with just the aspect of sleeping, it's been so difficult because I'll get comfortable, and then like this was a few weeks ago when I had a really bad cough. I would get comfortable and then I would cough and then I would have to pee, and it was like literally every 5 minutes. And it's so hard to get up. The bigger you get, it's a lot. And our bed's a little high, so I have a little step stool to get in the bed, but it's a lot. I'm exhausted. I feel exhausted right now. That's why I had to eat before, because it's like, why is my energy so low? But it's making sure that you're eating enough, exercising, staying hydrated, sleeping when I can. When I don't sleep at night, I'm trying to take naps during the day just to kind of regroup, but it's really difficult. And just also emotionally, oh my God. This morning, nothing was wrong. And I just started like getting teary-eyed and cried a little. And I'm like, hormones are everywhere. Everywhere, especially the last few weeks. Maybe it gets worse as you go on, but people are like, that doesn't change. It's like, got it, great. So I have that to look forward to, but definitely releasing those emotions. And I think it's good. It's good to regulate it as well, especially meditating, deep breathing. I try to do a couple deep breaths every couple hours when I remember. Probably should set an alarm for that, but yeah, I need to stay on track on that. But yeah, I think it's more just getting outdoors, having even like we have a cute little backyard, so standing outside for a few minutes just to get the sun hitting my face and feeling like that vitamin D a little bit. So I think a huge part of the emotional piece, just to go back for a second, is I go to therapy once a week now, and that's been really helpful just in that transition period of not being pregnant and being pregnant, and the hormones, and also all of what I was talking about earlier, the unknowns, really managing my emotions so it doesn't impact baby girl. Still don't have a name yet, but we will eventually. Well, we'll have to before we leave the hospital. So emotionally, that's been really good. And then also doing like couples therapy, because like Evan and I are rock solid, but just having that extra layer of like, let's be even more rock solid. So things that we can't even think of, we can have that third party that's neutral, not biased to the situation, and help us navigate parenting now, because we've never been parents. We have of course, Ollie, our fur baby, but that's slightly different. Definitely parenting, but slightly different. So definitely just taking care of me and my overall well-being so I can show up powerfully. And it's crazy because even like with affirmations and things I do on a daily basis, it's even more significant now, I feel, because everything I do, she's going to see and hear and model, and I just want to show up powerfully for her because she deserves that, and I want her to see her mom do that too. And the next one, patience and letting go of perfectionism. That's a hard I will say I've definitely learned a lot of patience, even like what I was talking about in my last video, like our first year of marriage. I've definitely had to learn a lot of patience with myself and others and Evan, and letting go of perfectionism, because I think part of being a mom, part of being a human. We're not perfect. We're gonna make mistakes. And at my baby shower last weekend, I had people write like words of wisdom, those kinds of things. And a lot of them are like, look at mistakes as, instead of looking at it as a mistake, look at it as a learning opportunity. You're learning together. This is the first time we're parents of a newborn. We have no idea what we're doing. You can read everything. There's so much information out there. So of course you can have some foundation, but it's going to be different for every baby and every parent because it's a whole new relationship. It's brand new and you're learning together because you've never done this before. Even if it's your second or third or fourth kid, that relationship's going to be different. That child's going to be different. They're going to need different things. It's not a one size fits all. And I say that so much because I do believe we're all unique. We all bring something different to the table. And also she's going to have both my DNA, Evan's DNA, the combination, and she's going to be her. And have her own spin on things. So I think it's just letting go of the needing to know everything because I'm not gonna know everything and I can know a few things, but in reality, it's all gonna be brand new and every phase of her life it's gonna be brand new because I've never done it before. I've never had like a newborn, a toddler, a child, a teenager. Of course, I babysat growing up. I've worked with kids. I've worked in high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, all the things, but this is definitely different. So I'm learning to let go of things that are not in my control. And being a recovering perfectionist, I'm really focused on, the imperfection and knowing that's absolutely perfect that way. And everything's gonna happen the way it's supposed to. And things are gonna shift and change and it's just kind of rolling with the punches. That's where I'm at with that one. And I would say going into after all the motherhood talk, all the pregnancy talk, the biggest thing is just really setting my career and life goals as a new mom. And I'm really realigning my personal and career goals to fit into this new phase. So it's that flexibility, redefining success, and the moment I found out I was pregnant, a lot changed, as I mentioned. But I think the biggest thing is when it came to my mindset of just what to expect and looking at our goals long term. So Evan and I own a solar energy company and I have the YouTube channel, the podcast, I do trainings for California prison system, I do other things, like my plate's full. But when I was really looking at, there was a conversation, do I go back to working full time? Do I try something new? Whatever it may be. So Evan and I were just talking about like diversifying our income because like solar, as we call it, the solar coaster, some months are great, some aren't not so great. And it was being realistic. And after careful consideration, I started to get a lot of signs. Like I'm very woo-woo, but I started getting signs. I was watching like a show and they were talking about it. Then I was like reconnecting with friends from grad school. And it came up that what if I got licensed again because I had practiced in California and it had been 7 years since I've practiced. So nothing is viable for Colorado. California and Colorado have completely different licensure processes and whatnot. So I was like, maybe it's time to go back to the field of mental health. And I never thought I would go back, partly because I was so burnt out. And I've talked about this on other videos, but I was seeing like 30 clients on a weekly basis. And with the doctorate, I was getting paid $15 an hour in Southern California. Granted, that was my experience. That was everything that I was dealing with. Could have went somewhere else. I could have done other things, but I just realized that at that moment in my life, there was just so much blowing up around me in the sense of like I was going through a bad breakup. I had a bad roommate situation. I just call it my life blew up at 26, but it was the biggest blessing. And I feel like I had a lot of growing up to do because I started in the field at 21 and I was very green. I learned so much. I'm so grateful for all my experiences. I had amazing supervisors, amazing experiences in that way, but I felt like financially I just couldn't get ahead in Southern California. So I had given it up and I had moved back to Florida to start my coaching business. And fast forward, I had given up the coaching practice. I just kind of was like, I'm gonna put it on the back burner for now. I might go back to it, but it's not the right time. And so getting pregnant, I was like, maybe I do want to get licensed again, or licensed here in Colorado as a licensed professional counselor. In addition to that, go back into the coaching field. And and be able to diversify the income that way. And I feel like with everything that's been going on in the world the last few years, like post-COVID, so much has changed in the mental health field, and I feel like I'm ready to go back into it. I'm ready to step back into what's possible. I feel like a lot has changed and there's so many more opportunities. There's a lot more flexibility, and California and Colorado are very different types of states and different requirements. And I feel like with all my business experience now, I'm coming into it not as green. I have years of experience being a therapist, I have years of experience of being in the entrepreneurial world, and I'm still an entrepreneur. I want to start my own practice for therapy as well, but I think it's time. So I'm going to be going back into the field, and I'm excited. Just all the opportunities that can come, and all that started with getting pregnant. It made me just re-evaluate my priorities, where I want to go in life, and what's important for me future-wise, and it's something I know I can do forever. It's something that I feel like I don't have to try so hard with, versus if I had to go get a full-time job, that might be a little more taxing on my soul. But I know a big part of my purpose in life is to help people, and I feel like we all help people in some capacity, no matter what it is. But I feel like on a core level, soul level, it's to help people through some tough times, and on that therapy aspect and coaching aspect. So stepping back into that, and I have her to thank for it. But that's kind of just summarizing everything that's been going on and what I've been learning through pregnancy, stepping into motherhood, and also just reevaluating what are my career ambitions, goals, and really just honoring that. And I hope you honor what's going on for you. If you're going through a life transition, that there's so much silver lining in those transitions, whether they're amazing opportunities or you feel stuck or you're like, why is this not working? Sometimes it's showing you, look at a different lens, look in a different direction, so it can allow you to take a step back and see what is possible, because if we allow ourselves to, we have no idea what we're capable of. But so glad to have you all here, and I will see you on the next episode.